I'm sure some of you guys will be asking how to eat on a budget in Yukon. Well, the simplest answer is to start our television travel show. You get to eat everywhere for free. Just joking. It can work though. But I think this is a better answer. Obviously, one thing I really hope is people come here to Whitehorse and Yukon and enjoy the local food at a local restaurant and support the local people. But if budget becomes a real issue, the supermarket, that's one alternative. Most of the time you can find sandwiches for $5 to $6, maybe $7, and as well hot meals for $7, $8. So here's a little warning. If you don't like to wear gloves in this kind of weather outdoors, I got some bad news for you. You're gonna have cracked skin. Look at that. Oh my gosh, it is not pretty, and it's actually very painful actually. Get like a hand lotion and try to moisturize your skin, right? And trust me, I get no love from Dove. They are not my sponsor, but apparently this is actually a good hand moisturizer. After days and days of thrills, today we are laying back just a little. We are staying in town to check out some of the landmarks. The most famous on the list is the steamwheeler SS Klondike. We are on the ground of the SS Klondike National Historic Site, and as you can see, it's named after not one but two stern wheelers that served as a fleet between Whitehorse and Dawson City between 1929 to 1936, and the second boat between 1937 to 1950. Why is there a second SS Klondike? Well, sadly the first one was ran aground but was not completely destroyed because they was able to recover many of its parts and put into the second SS Klondike, which served for many years. And today is a part of the National Historic Site here to remind us the history of Yukon. The Klondike I was built by the British Yukon Navigation Company, a subsidiary of White Pass and Yukon Route Railway Company in 1929, and had the distinction of having 50% more capacity than a regular steamwheeler, while still having a shallow draft and meeting the size requirement in order to travel down the Yukon River. Klondike I had a cargo capacity of 270 metric tons without having to push a barge. The Klondike II carried the fleet until the early 1950s. Due to the construction of highway connecting between Dawson City and Whitehorse, many Yukon River steamwheelers were decommissioned. In an attempt to save the Klondike II, she was converted into a cruise ship by the White Pass and Yukon route. In 1955, due to lack of interest, the Klondike II was left on its way to the Whitehorse shipyards. The ship was donated to Parks Canada and was gradually restored until 1966, when the city authority agreed to move the ship to its present location. On 24th of June 1967, the SS Klondike was designated as a National Historic Site of Canada, and now is open during the summer as a tourist attraction. The famous MacBride Museum, which I heard so much, and there's so many positive reviews. They say it's actually the main museum here in the territory of Yukon, or Yukon territory, excuse me. So with that being said, let's get going. Most museums are only open on Fridays and the weekend during the winter. First on the list is the largest and the most important museum in all of Yukon, the MacBride Museum of Yukon History, located in downtown Whitehorse. It's also only 15 minutes away on foot along the Whitehorse waterfront. The MacBride Museum is Yukon's first comprehensive museum that dedicated to the history of this land and its people, including its resilience and the important history that have shaped to today's Yukon as Canada's territories. Now, the museum consists of 40,000 artifacts that illustrate the Yukon's First Nation, the natural world, many important events, and beyond. Founded in 1950 by the Yukon Historical Society and opened in 1952, named after the co-founder William MacBride, an employee of White Pass and Yukon Root Company. This is the oldest museum with the most extensive and important collection in the entire Yukon. The museum consists of 3 sites: MacBride's Museum, MacBride's Roundhouse, and the MacBride Copper Belt Mining Museum. However, only the MacBride's Museum are open during the winter. There's a large exhibit dedicated to the First Nations in Yukon and explore their stories as a starting point for all of Yukon's history to the present. The collection includes the priceless handmade traditional clothing, artworks, cookwares, musical instruments, tools, and the ceremonial artifacts. The Wild World allows you to get up and close to 35 species of animal commonly found in the Yukon. They include moose, coyotes, polar bears, just to name a few. This section also have a sample of delicious meats. Just joking. It includes samples of different animal fur for you to touch and feel the difference, such as a bear rug and a coyote's coat. Now, this is an outdoor area where the museum showcases many of the tools and vehicles that was used during the Yukon Gold Rush. The Gold Rush Gallery tells the story of a Klondike Gold Rush of 1896 to 1899 and how it shaped the modern day history of Yukon. Gold was discovered there by local miners on August 16, 1896. When the news reached Seattle and San Francisco the following year, it triggered a stampede of prospectors. Some became wealthy, but majority went in vain. To accommodate the prospectors, boomtown sprung along the route. At the terminus, Dawson City was founded at the confluence of the Klondike and Yukon River. The town grew to house approximately 30,000 people by the summer of 1898. In the summer of 1899, the gold was discovered around Nome in West Alaska, and many prospectors left Klondike for the new gold field, marking the end of the Klondike Gold Rush. The boomtown declined. The population of Dawson City fell. The gold mining production in Klondike peaked in 1903 after heavier equipment was brought in. Since then, Klondike has been mined on and off, and today, its legacy draws tourists to the region and contributes to its prosperity. The cold chamber section of the museum is where it teaches you how to make lollipops from the snow. Just joking. Not quite. Actually, it dedicates to how Yukon people of past and the present lives in the cold and isolating environment. Collections include different clothing worn made from different animal fur, and their bones housed inside a cold chamber. I wanted to check out many other parts of the museum, including the Sam McGee cabin. There's also a map library, land and light gallery, so if you want to fully enjoy this museum, make sure to allocate at least 4 hours. It's really well worth it. But my visit was cut short with a call from our Mexican friend Gemma and her partner Antonio,